The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Gilbert Fire and Rescue, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36554. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find dual air horns on the passenger and driver side. Just inside of that location, you'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks. Moving on to the face of the bumper, you'll find your mechanical siren. On the passenger and driver side, located just inside of that location, you'll find your PA speaker and electronic siren. Also in the middle, you'll find your unit identifier E257. Let's move up onto the bumper extension. D-handle gains us access to the front bumper load. There are 2. Moving on to the cab face, you'll find a forward-facing emergency warning light. Moving further up, you'll find a turn indicator marker light, and just inside of that location, headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. Above that, you'll find a forward-facing emergency warning light. As we move to the outer edge of the cab, you'll find the mirror housing a flat mirror and convex mirror. As we move up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 ID clearance lights. Also, you'll find on the passenger side a downward-facing oval mirror. Located in the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. As we move up onto the cab roof, you'll find an emergency warning light bar. Located inside the light bar in the very center is your opticom. Just above that, you'll find a spotlight controlled from within inside the cab. This is your go light. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of those items we just talked about. First, an angled shot here showing the front bumper load and also emergency warning light side facing. As we move toward the top of the vehicle, emergency warning light and also your go light. This is the bumper crosslay front. It is foam capable, and then there's also one on the opposite side, which is going to be the rear crosslay for your front bumper. It is also foam capable. Here are the 2.5-inch swivel discharges that protrude into the front bumper space. Also located are some warning placards indicating entanglement hazard because of those front bumper loads. Those are both on the passenger and driver side. As we move now to the Shoreline Inlet 20 amp auto eject, that's the red plug. The blue plug is the Coleman AC auto eject. We'll now move through the images here, full view of the entire apparatus. Let's focus in on the cab. At the very bottom section at the base of the A pillar is where we're going to find the front bumper discharge drain. There's one also on the passenger side. Grab handles for gaining access in and out of the cab. As we move to the very rear section, lower portion, this is a lower emergency warning light. Moving up to the very top, side-facing floodlight. Moving to the rear wall of the cab is where you'll find your water tank level indicator. And then moving all the way up to the very top, you'll find a side-facing floodlight. Let's go ahead and move back to the rear section now, midship area. And then we'll move to the body section. Let's start with a few items. Just in front of the rear axle is where you'll find the storage location for your folding wheel chocks. Just out from that location is the marker turn indicator. Above the rear axle is where you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving up to the very rear section, you'll also find a side-facing scene light. And then moving to the very rear portion, a rear-facing and side-facing emergency warning light. Let's go ahead and move to the rear of the apparatus. We'll start at the very top left where you'll find a rear-facing scene light. There's also one on the passenger side. Just beneath that, you'll find an emergency warning light. As we move further down, you'll find the tail light housing a backup light, stop light, turn indicator, and emergency warning light. As we move to the center, you'll find your traffic advisor. All the way up to the very top section is where you'll find your backup camera. Let's go ahead and move around now to the side of the vehicle on the passenger side, full view, and then same configuration and layout for the most part on this side as you're going to see on the opposite side. Same as the cab configuration and midsection.
rear section of the body. Let's go ahead and move now into the front section of the driver's space. We'll start first with the door panel. Once the door is open, the stairs will auto-deploy. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch. As we move to the pedestal area of the seat, this is the driver's seat, you'll find a visual indicator air gauge for your air pressure, also an air inlet, and then also auto charge. When plugged into shoreline power, this becomes active. Let's move to about the right ankle of the operator, where you'll find this yellow placard indicating the date of manufacture, the 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and fluid type. As we move to the floorboard, you'll find an air horn and electric siren foot pedal. Moving up to about the left knee of the operator, you'll find an audible speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate to brighten or dampen sound. You'll also find your driveline diagnostic information, engine diagnostics, command zone, display port, and ABS diagnostics. These are for your maintenance team. Just up from this, the red master battery switch, which is a quarter turn. Just to the right is your pump shift. There are instructions from road to pump, and then also instructions on the opposite side from pump to road. Just as a reminder, you need 2 green indicators prior to exiting the cab, pump engaged, and OK to pump for full pump operations. Let's move just to the right of the steering column, where you'll find your load manager, OK to engage the high idle indicator and also high idle switch, and then just beneath that, the auto lube fault indicator. As we move to the dash area on the left, you're going to find your headlights, dim and brighten switch, ignition, and start switch. You'll also find this yellow placard indicating the height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating of your vehicle. You'll also find all of our gauges located within this area. As we move to the right, you'll find diagnostic information regarding your vehicle just to the right on the tally information screen. As we move further to the right, full preview here. Let's start first at the very top section with your climate control, heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Just down from that, we've had some few switches. We're going to start with the engine brake on and off switch, a engine brake low, medium, and high setting switch, DPF regen inhibit switch, an indicator for SRS fault, and then also off-road traction switch. Let's move just down from the switch location, where you'll find your siren control for your electronic and also mechanical siren. As we move further to the right, you're going to find your Pierce command zone. Tremendous amount of information. Please see your owner's manual for more information. This is a touch screen, and then also function tally switches below. As you can see here, the yellow pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release, this is your rear brake. To the right, you'll find your go light control. This controls the spotlight over the top of the light bar. To the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad, push button, digital readout, pump in drive indicator. Traffic advisor. Moving further to the right, we're going to find flat mirror and convex mirror control for the left mirror and also for the right mirror. Just as we look toward the center area, you'll find mounted here additional flashlights. Overhead, we'll go ahead and move through some of the switch panels here, starting on the far left with your emergency master, driver side scene, passenger side scene, front scene, and rear scene. As we move further to the right, an additional switch panel, starting on the left with your siren brake for your mechanical siren, opticom, high beam flash, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Moving further to the right in the same plane is going to be your electronic siren control module and PA speaker system. As we move to the very center, you'll find this red light indicating that you may have a compartment, ladder rack down, do not move your apparatus. You will find these red and white candy cane style information placards. These are indicating spare wiring behind the panel. The identifying number and also the type of wire it is on this placard. Moving overhead, you'll find your intercom system. Directly behind the operator seat is the control module for your mechanical siren. Also on the vertical surface is the manual handle for tilting the cab. As we move to the Michelin Tires Alcoa wheel, in the center you'll find a visual sight gauge. General view here into the rear section of the cab. Let's go ahead and go inside to the door panel where you'll find affixed to the door panel safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, and manual window controls. As we move to the inside section, you'll find 2 rear-facing Scba seats and then 2 forward-facing high-back seats. These are both air ride in the rear. As we move to the center, you'll find additional map box information storage and also 12-volt access via barrel style. Moving further to the right, just behind the flap cover is where you'll find the daily checks for oil and transmission. Moving to the rear seat, you'll find 2 flashlights located in between the 2. As we look overhead, air conditioning, grab handles, and then also your intercom system. As we move to the front section of the angled area, you'll find 2 fans located here. Your 120 air conditioning, when plugged into Shoreline AC power, this will be active. Also your unit air conditioning unit. Let's go ahead and move now to the pump panel area. We'll start with the very top section with the crosslays. First, crosslay 1, an attack pack, and then also a 2.5-inch crosslay. All of these are foam capable on the outer edge. Also, warning information indicating entanglement hazard. Because of these lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. Let's go ahead and move down on the panel just below this area where you'll find additional storage, ventilated compartment, LED lighting. And now let's go down to the base of the running board where you find a pull-out standing board. As we move back to the mid-section here of your pump panel, starting at the very top section, you'll find your red or booster line located in the top, captive rollers coming out from each side. As we move to the pump panel area, on the left you'll find your main pump intake, and then to the right you'll find your main pump discharge. Further to the right you'll find in the blue module is your water level gauge indicator. Right next to the water tank level indicator you'll find an additional gauge indicating transmission temperature, also a tally light warning indicating yellow, and then also an indicator that says check transmission if tally light is on. As we move to the gray module area, this is going to be your engine diagnostic area. There's also an audible alarm here, and then also visual indicators via yellow and also red, including a tachometer. As we move further down on the pump panel, you'll find number 1 crosslay, the 2.5-inch crosslay, the rear 2.5 and rear 1.5. You'll also find an informational audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate, will allow you to brighten or dampen sound. We do have a real discharge, and then right next to that you'll find the deluge discharge. It is a wheel valve. Let's move down where you'll find a set of switches here. These are going to be for your lights, in addition to, at the very bottom section, an OK to pump. This green indicator is indicating that you've properly engaged everything in the cab area and it's OK to pump. As we move to the right, you'll find your Husky Foam System 12 module. It is the red module. Right next to it is the foam level indicator for that Husky Foam System for Tank A. You also have instructions here and also system specifications placard. Moving further to the right, you'll find your push to prime, air prime, and then also instructions for 1,000 RPMs for best practices. Right next to it, your pump boss, pressure throttle governor, and then also the number 1 driver's side discharge. Let's move down on the panel and slightly to the right, where you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line. This is just right next to the vertical sidewall. Also, you're going to find the recirculating line and engine cooler. Those are both twist, not pull. Currently, your vacuum and test gauge pressure ports are plugged, and once again, these are for testing purposes. To the right, you'll find a warning placard regarding do not ride on the vehicle. If you are climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. These 2 latches here gain you access behind the panel. Let's move slightly down and to the left side of the pump panel where you'll find the bumper crosslay for front and also rear. Both of these are foam capable. And then also we have 2 large diameter discharges on the passenger side, the orange and also green. Both of those are wheel valves. As we move further to the right, we're going to find our two 2.5-inch discharges located on this side. And we previously mentioned the engine recirc line and cooler line. As we move further down, you'll find your driver's side main inlet. As we move down to the very bottom, you'll find a warning placard. Only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. You'll also find the 2.5-inch driver's side auxiliary inlet, female, ball valve, locally controlled. Your minimum operation maintenance schedule, which we'll go over next, and then also at the very bottom section, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's go back to the placard here for the minimum operation maintenance schedule for test pressures of 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left-hand side is the associated GPM for that test pressure. On the right, the associated RPM for test pressure. Governed speed, 2,100 RPMs, and your 5-digit job number in the upper left-hand corner. Across the very bottom, color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's move further to the right, where we'll find first this Watrous placard indicating the type and model of transmission and pump that you have, in addition to the date of manufacture. As we move further down, a warning placard regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious. Your capacity is 2,000 GPM pump. As we move into the pan door, this is your foam operation handle, vertical or horizontal, depends on whether it's in the operation mode or in the vertical position for foam fill mode. The handle is located just inside. It is the yellow handle. As we move to the bottom, you'll find your foam tank drain and foam discharge drain. Also right next to it is the reel rewind foot pedal. As we move through the compartments, let's start at the very top section with the auto charge. When plugged into shoreline power, this will become active, maintaining battery charge. As we move through the compartments, let's first start just in front of the rear axle with two Scba bottle storage locations with retaining straps, and then also an oxygen bottle. As we move down, once again, Michelin tires and Alcoa wheels. Let's move toward the rear of the axle, where you'll find an Scba bottle storage for one bottle with a retaining. Also the ultra low sulfur diesel fill location. As we move that flap downward, it exposes the blue 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. As we move now to the rear compartment, this is where you're going to find your cold storage location here for your med cabinet. As we move to the left, you'll find your temperature control settings on the far left-hand side. All compartments now open, general view. Let's go ahead and move to the rear of the apparatus next. Let's start in the upper left-hand corner with the rear-facing floodlight. This is the control for the rear scene light and then also the work light. As we move upward, you'll find these warning placards regarding warning entanglement hazard because the line's coming from aloft, and then also never ride on the vehicle while it is in motion. As we move further to the right, you'll find your hose bed area. There are 3 dividers located. They are adjustable, and to the right you'll find backboard and pike pole long-handled storage. Also, your 10-foot attic ladder is stowed in this location here. As we move further down, you'll find the pre-connects to the rear, the 2.5-inch and then also 1.75-inch rear. As we also identify a few placards here, entanglement hazard and then also fall. As we move to the other side, just a reminder, when climbing on the vehicle, always face the vehicle. As we move further down in the compartment in the very rear, you'll find an adjustable shelf and a pull-out tray. The tray release is located on the right. As we move to the upper left-hand corner, you'll find your air compressor. When plugged into shoreline power, this will become active, maintaining air brake pressure. Once again, release mechanism for this is located on the lower right-hand side. It will lock into position. Let's go ahead and move now to the passenger side compartments. We'll start at the very rear section. We have a D handle gains us access to here to the vertical tool board, and it will lock when it's in position. To simply release toward the hinge side is a lift release mechanism. As we move to the forward section, you'll find Scba bottle storage. Also within the same area, we're going to find the fill location for our ultra low sulfur diesel, and then also the equipment rack hydraulic reservoir. This is the location where you'll check the fluid for that reservoir. As we move down, once again, silver cap, ultra low sulfur diesel. We'll move down to the wheel now. Once again, Michelin tire, Alcoa wheel. I would like to point out as we move down to the very bottom section, extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist. Please be cautious where you park your vehicle. Also, as we move up, you'll find Scba bottle storage location. Let's move forward to this location here to the next compartment, adjustable shelving, LED lighting, and once again, ventilation within the compartment. As we move to the midsection, we'll start with the pump panel area and start in the upper left-hand corner in the gray module, which is your powered equipment rack. This will lower your ladder rack. There are instructions for raise and lower, and then also a danger information. Because of those moving items, there is a possibility of hazard of injury. Also, as we move inside behind the panel, you'll find your strainer. And then as we move back to the bottom section, large diameter inlet. Moving to the right, these are 2 large diameter discharges located on the passenger side. We also have some warning placard here regarding pressure hazard. As we move down further to the right, you'll find an additional pan door to gain access into the pump panel area for your relief valve. Also, a primer drain is located here. 2.5-inch auxiliary passenger side locally controlled ball valve with a female inlet. All of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains are across the very bottom section. As we move just underneath the running board is where you'll find a pull-out standable shelf for gaining access to your crosslays. Same configuration as we have on the passenger side as we do on the driver's side. We're now to the cab section. Let's start taking a look at a few items within this area. First, let's start at the very rear. We've already kind of taken a look in the back, but let's look at the top section where you'll find your air conditioner. Once again, 120 and then also 12 volt. As we move inside the cab, you'll find the 2 forward-facing air ride seats. Those are on the rear vertical wall. And then also as we look forward, 2 fans, intercom system, and then our 2 Scba seats rear facing. This is directly over the front axle. This is your air inlet. Once again, Michelin tires, Alcoa wheel, visual sight gauge for the front axle. As we move inside the cab of the officer space, let's start first with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, window control. As we move to the center dash, you'll find your air horn push button, also 12 volt USB style access, and then also the control module for your go light. Your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, an airbag in the front bolster. Please see the warning placard just below this area for mounting of any equipment within this area. As we look to the left, you'll find your computer module and also push to talk for your SETCOM system. As we move to the very rear section or forward section, you'll find 12 volt access via barrel style and then also your vehicle data recording port. Let's look overhead in the officer space. First, we'll start at the very top section, push on and off white or red lenses, and then also your radio here, Sirius XM, Bluetooth, CD player, AM FM weather band radio. A few switches in this area. First, emergency master, driver side scene, passenger side, front scene, and rear scene lights. As we move just to the left of this location, you'll find your unit radio. And then let's go ahead and move now to the front bumper on the passenger side. This is your cab lift. There are instructions for its operation for raise and lower, and also has the ability to plug in a remote in the lower section. This is for your 24-foot extension and 14-foot roof ladder. Let's go ahead and now take a look at the hose bed area. First, let's identify the yellow diamonds. This is the edge of the walking surface here, and these are for a visual identifier for firefighter safety. As we move inside, gain access to the water tank, which is your blue tank, and then the green tank, which is going to be your foam tank. Blue, once again, 500-gallon water tank. As we move just to the right of this location, this is the top fill location for your foam tank, 30-gallon. I would like to point out, do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move toward the dunnage area toward the rear, you can see the 3 hose bed dividers in the very rear section, and then also the 2 discharges, 1 2.5 and 1 1.5. We're now to the front dunnage, which houses the booster line, also your Husky foam system, and then also at the very top section, you'll find your master stream device. This is the Husky foam system hydraulic reservoir. Indication here not to step on this. Is not a step intended for use. As we move back to the Dunnage area, booster line on the right, you'll find free spool tension and a manual rewind. As we move to the forward section, you'll find your master stream device and also a open and close valve and also a pressure gauge. Moving toward the cab area, I would like to point out this is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these placards located on the passenger and driver side. The next set of images are going to be with the cab and chassis. Just general view here for your awareness. I would like to point out that this is the fill location for your cab tilt. Just as a reminder, when your cab is in the full upright position, the lock will automatically lock on the hydraulic cylinder. It is important not to lower the cab onto the hydraulic cylinder. That is purely a safety device. Maintain full pressure on both cylinders. As we move to the battery area, just underneath you'll find the negative and positive terminals. They are currently capped. Congratulations, Gilbert Fire and Rescue Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus. If you have any questions about your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.